And then there were two. Week 16 in the books in the NFL, and it comes to a close with a Chargers victory 20-3. And with that, for the first time in some time, the Chargers punched their ticket to the playoffs. And it comes in a largely lopsided effort here. Could have been a whole lot worse. Justin Herbert, 24-31 for 235 for the second straight week. No touchdown pass. Does get tabbed for an interception here as well. But the story of this one, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams accounting for 180 of the team's 314 total yards. It's hats and T-shirts when it's all said and done. Diving in with the two-time champ Bryant McFadden. B-Mac, as we said here, popping tags on hats and T-shirts. That was exactly what they set out to do in this football game. But again, maybe not the picture-perfect effort we're looking for out of the Los Angeles Chargers here. What were your impressions of that effort?
Slow start offensively. Defensively, they balled out. They took advantage of a team they were supposed to take advantage of in regards to the Colts starting their backup quarterback, and Nick Foles made him look like a backup quarterback. He never got an opportunity to become comfortable in the pocket. They couldn't run the football. They created turnovers, so that's a big-time plus for the Chargers defensively because we know that unit has been up and down throughout the course of this year. The concern is, even though this is a huge win, as Joe mentioned, you got your T-shirt, you got your hats, but what's going on with the all-world talented quarterback in Justin Herbert? Once again, no passing touchdowns, an interception. Throughout this ball game, Joey, he looked like he was, uncomfortable. He never got into rhythm, even though we saw a nice connection between Herbert and Keenan Allen. They had some red zone woes throughout the course of this ball game, but luckily enough for them, their defense was outstanding.
Taking a look at that red zone, 2 of 4, which is the season pace here. 26th in the league is this Chargers offense when it comes to coming away with 6 in the red zone. 50% throughout the season, 50% on this given night as well. How do you get better at that at this point in the season? Is it play calling? Is it execution? Is it a mixture of the two? What are you not seeing that you want to?
It's a little bit of both. Execution has been clearly inconsistent for their offense. That's why they have struggled in the red area. Not in the inability to run the football effectively in the red zone has really hampered them as well. And what I'm seeing also, Joe, in regards to the quarterback, Justin Herbert, his decision-making in the red zone has been a bit lax, to say the least. So they got to find a way to correct their wrongs in regards to that area. But most importantly, they found a way to win. The bright spot, the defense rose to the occasion. We believe because of the talent they have at the quarterback position, eventually they find a way to be more consistent and explosive in between the 20s, but being able to cash in with touchdowns when they get into the red zone.
Yeah, the box score doesn't always look like what you want it to, but some special throws throughout this game out of Herbert, and it's what gives you hope for those moments. But we get to this point in the season, and we use all the isms, teams you're scared of, a team you don't want to see, a front runner, an underdog, all the things as we head to playoff times we try and define these teams. I think it's fair to say this is a Chargers team that no one's really afraid of right now.
No question.
You played on a lot of teams and defenses specifically that were feared. What takes you to that level?
Well, consistency and a physical style of play. A defense that's willing to punch you in the mouth first quarter. Let's transition to the NFC. The most feared defense is the San Francisco 49ers.
No doubt.
Because of their style of play. They make you afraid of them when you're watching them play from the confines of your living room. That's their style of play. They got to be more physical defensively with the Chargers, and they have the talented players to do so. When you look at the personnel, hopefully they get Bosa back in the lineup as well, which will improve their production. But yeah, when you talk about a team that you might need to be mindful of come playoff time, as I see it right now, the Chargers, I believe they're just an in-the-way team right now.
Okay.
And I'm just saying that based on what my eyes have seen throughout the course of this year, even with them winning ball games. And tonight, they played against a team that's extremely bad, but they struggle for basically 3 quarters against the Colts. So they got to find a way to become more explosive on both sides of the football, more physical, and we got to start seeing all-world-like performances coming from their all-world talented quarterback in Justin Herbert.
I mean, we start pushing it forward. We'll take a look at the playoff picture here in a moment, but you push it forward, and you're talking about Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. You're hoping you see Trevor Lawrence there in the first round if that's what the matchup ends up being. But Justin Herbert getting his first taste of playoff football. Let's go for a moment here on Indianapolis. A lot has to be done.
No question.
No magic out of old St. Nick in this one. 3 interceptions, no touchdowns out of Nick Foles, who threw his first passes of his season and made his second start in 2 years. I don't know how much we could have asked of the guy in this moment, but Again, it's a different quarterback, and it's going to be a different quarterback on week 1, day 1 next season. It's also going to be a different head coach, perhaps the one that's there right now. A lot needs to be done for Indianapolis right now.
A lot.
Putting you in the GM chair, what's your first call?
In regards to head coach,
Whatever you want to do.
you got to go with someone who has experience, someone who's done it on this level and been successful in doing so. My first call would be to Sean Payton. Now, if you're Sean Payton, you're probably going to have the pick of the litter in regards to opportunities, right? Head coaching vacancies to pick from. But you got to give him anything that he wants to have in regards to making this job appealing to him, because you need that type of structure. You need that type of help. Whoever takes on this head coaching job for 2023, you're going into this situation knowing you don't have your quarterback. You got to find a way to get a quarterback via draft or via free agency. You got to find a way to answer that question at the quarterback position. Then you got to find a way to include more talent on this team on both sides of the football. The biggest disappointment for this team this year was the offensive line woes. And because of that, we didn't see the Jonathan Taylor that we thought we would see based on how well he played last year. Remember, they had Carson Wentz, and they still had an opportunity to get to the playoffs. That lonely loss to Jacksonville Jaguars in Duval, hampered those chances. But why were they in that position? Because they could run the football against the who's of who, and they had an opportunistic defense. We didn't see any of that this year, and because of that, they will be looking for a new head coach in 2023.
And why were they in this specific moment? It's because there were high expectations. They don't put you on Monday Night Football this late in the season if you aren't expected to perform. It has been a departure from that for the Indianapolis Colts, and a number that points to Jeff Saturday here, not just the 5 consecutive losses after the emotional win in his debut over the Raiders, 90-9. This team has been outscored in the fourth quarter. So
wow.
It's a head coach who's drinking out of a fire hose right now and trying to figure it all out. I'm not sure if he will or won't be the head coach next season. A lot to sort out here in Indianapolis. Let's sort out the playoff picture, taking a look at the AFC side, as we do now have another ticket punched. Put the X next to the Chargers. They're coming to the dance, B-Mac. Now 9-6. So there's one spot open, with the Fish at 8-7, and then a bunch of 7-8 log-jammed right behind it. But let's talk about the Chargers here for a moment. You're sitting on the 6th line. It's probably where you're going to end up. Maybe you jump up to 5. If you're taking a look at those teams above the line, obviously the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Bengals, pedigreed quarterbacks waiting for you. The Jaguars, let's just hypothetically say that's who the Chargers are looking at. What do you make of that matchup? You need a win. You need a moment for Herbert, even if you're running into a buzzsaw behind it. To get a win in the first round does what for this franchise?
It does something to the morale of the team, boosts the confidence, because when you get into the tournament, I say this all the time, you need a ball to bounce your way here or there, and before you know it, you could be in a conference championship game. Think about that. So yes, when you look at the playoff picture right now as we see it, if the playoffs were to start today, Joe, if you're San Diego, if you're the Chargers, Los Angeles, Jacksonville is the team you want. Because of the inexperience they have, they're still trying to find their way. And you got to like that matchup. When you talk about Cincinnati, they're one of the hottest teams, not just in the AFC, but in the entire NFL. And then when you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, of course, they're not afraid of the Chiefs, but we know who they have at the quarterback position and their coaching staff with so much experience. So me personally, there's no easy way out in regards to playoff time. But if you had to pick a team, I think it would be Jacksonville that the Chargers would be asking for.
And I think that's the micro picture that we're looking at this season, but big picture macro, it is the all-world quarterback. It is the guy who you're trusting with the keys to your car for the next, hopefully, decade. How big is this next month in the maturation of Justin Herbert? You know you're going to the playoffs. You know you're going to have some tasks out in front of you. Take it away from the result of the ballgame, just who he is as a leader and a player. How much can that change over the next month?
It can change a lot, because one thing about Justin Herbert, you don't question his talent, the potential, the arm strength, the accuracy, the athleticism. He has all of that plus more, but we're still waiting for him to show that he can win big ball games. Not just big ball games, just win in a consistent fashion. And what people say all the time in regards to Justin Herbert, well, his defense is this, his defense is that. If this happened, he scores this amount of points. They can't stop anybody. You got certain quarterbacks, the same excuses does not work for them. And we believe he's an all-world type player, as you said, because we've seen that from time to time in his short career. But now when you get into the playoff time, this is where you showcase who you really are, not just as an individual, but as a leader. And that's what we're waiting for.
Careers are defined 60 minutes at a time, and Justin Herbert is going to get his first crack at 60 in the playoffs. The Chargers are on the board and in the playoffs. Bryant McFadden, we appreciate you as always.
Yes, sir.
And we appreciate winning wagers, and that we always bring with us. You thought Christmas was over. We come bearing gifts. When we say you watch, you wager, you win, we mean it. Play with us. Win with us.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.